So another year, which means another year for Xbox Game Pass to deliver even more gaming to the masses. The service which advertises having over 100 games, but also a service where it seems like Microsoft can't even count, as there are literally hundreds of games available now. And this video is all about the Xbox Game Pass gems, the awesome games that everyone should play, but there is going to be a catch here. I'm focusing more on the last 6 to 12 months, so the newer games. So there is no Gears 5 or Halo the Master Chief Collection, for example, both which are killer and you should climb over your own grandmother to play. And I'm also not including Halo Infinite or Forza Horizon 5, as they are absolute must-plays, as those are the biggest releases recently, which you probably already know about or have played. We all know those and many others are fantastic, but it's time to focus on other more recent ones, and these games all deserve to be on the best Game Pass games out there regardless. The top 10 killer newer Game Pass games, and as often happens, narrowing it down to that number is tough, leaving out games that could easily make another list. But please, if you can, like, subscribe, share the video, give it a thumbs up, and stop by the Discord if you can. But now let's load up Xbox Game Pass and just even decide which ones to play first. Let's go. Kicking off at number 10 is the Artful Escape, and where this one can lack a little bit in the gameplay department for myself, it was made up for in the absolute magnificent art style and design, plus some of the lighting which would wash over the backgrounds, making them burst with colour, animation, and just the sheer variety of different levels or stages that the game has. There is always something new to see, which keeps the game fresh and made me want to see what else the game was going to show. Huge two-legged creatures or some sort of flying whale thing, or a character who would just friggin' yell at me as the whole screen changed when he opened his mouth. The Artful Escape is one of those more indie looking games and would probably get lost in the gaming landscape to most people if it wasn't for a service like Xbox Game Pass. I don't think it's for everyone, but it tells enough of a good story with some likable characters, plus it's gorgeous to look at and still worth playing even if you don't think it may be for you. Check it out anyway. For number 9, it's VISAGE, and I consider myself one of the strongest critics, and by critic I mean haters, when it comes to the horror genre in video games. And it isn't a matter of me hating the genre, it's the opposite. I love it. It's just that I'm highly critical of these so-called horror or scary games, which are often snooze fests with too many cheap scares. VISAGE does the horror genre right though, and it succeeds for a simple reason, and the same reason why PT is so highly revered amongst horror fans, especially considering it was never even a goddamn full game to begin with. VISAGE has a great, fantastic horror tone with a great claustrophobic feel which ramps up the tension and suspense, which all good horror and thrillers need. Jump scares can also play a role in any of these sorts of games, but the atmosphere must be done right, and thankfully it is here. Of course, to get the most out of it, it needs to be played at night, in the pitch black, with headphones, to really ramp up the dread and suspense. If you're a fan of the genre, then it's a must play. If not, then play it anyway and let me know how shit scared you became. At number 8, it's the ASCENT, and this is an absolute must play for everybody for the simple fact that it has one of the best, most realised worlds out there, and it needs to be celebrated for what it offers. This has a beautiful and richly detailed cyberpunk world, which is just glorious to play in. It feels like a real place, lived in by the hundreds of characters you see that populate the city. And then it's just a bunch of fun to play as you explore all of these areas of the city, and it has tightly controlled gameplay, and which of course is even more fun with friends. If we don't get a sequel, or if this is the last time we see a game set in this world and universe, then I'm going to be pissed. And considering they could probably make the sequel in the same time the game takes to friggin' load on the last gen systems, that's really one of the only major issues with it, and it's non-existent on the series systems. Another game that gets to shine at least a little bit because of Xbox Game Pass. I had a blast playing this. For number 7, it's Death's Door, a unique action-adventure where you play as a crow retrieving lost souls as you engage in close and ranged combat, which is fun and engaging, and the controls feel damn good too. I've played many games in my long gaming life, some very bad, whereby death itself would have felt welcome just to end the nightmare of the shittiness. But Death's Door is the opposite, and an example of how all of these games could pop up on any great Game Pass list. It's excellent. When having a plethora of enemies on screen at once, you'll need to be able to attack and defend all whilst moving around, trying not to get hit or getting dead. And the combat itself is always satisfying. and the boss battles you encounter as well just add on another layer of greatness onto this already really good game. Throw in some puzzles as well and a great difficulty curve, and this is another example of a game which most would gloss over it, including myself, if it wasn't on Game Pass, giving gamers an opportunity to play what they may normally wouldn't. This one door you'll definitely want to open. At number 6 is Hades, and this one would be on many great game lists regardless, considering it's picked up many Game of the Year awards, and for good reason, as the game does so many things right. For a start, the game's combat is excellent as you hack and slash your way through the enemies like a fast and frantic death dance, dashing all over the screen swiftly, using special and magic attacks to kill everything in sight, and as you make your way to the next section, with a randomness in terms of which room or section can come next and enemy placement, it keeps things fresh, making you want to keep playing and earning rewards so you can upgrade your weapons. And when it comes to visuals, then seriously, the art design of Hades is pure sex to watch and runs beautifully, and no doubt many gamers will have a sort of addiction to this fast gameplay and the upgrades. And when it's this fun, it's understandable. And yeah, the story and characters are excellent as well. It's a legendary get for Xbox Game Pass, check it out. Coming in at number 5 is FIREWATch, and I revisited this game recently and it's still fantastic. One for those who are after story and narrative, and not one for those after action, as this one will have you falling asleep on your controller. Set in a US national park, you play the role of a fire lookout, which sees you explore the park as you talk with your boss over the radio. It all sounds pretty uneventful, and will be for those who don't enjoy the slow walking simulators, but there is something deeper for those who invest the time, and FIREWATch tells a very good story with great themes and meaning which runs throughout. At only around the 3 to 4 hour mark, you can easily knock this one over in one sitting, or over a weekend easily, and this one will show up in another video eventually where I discuss games that are shorter and don't have you needing to hook yourself up to a drip of caffeine and tape open your eyes so you can finish some of these huge long games in any reasonable time. FIREWATch is a great game, and now being on Game Pass just allows even more players to discover this little gem. And at number 4 is The Forgotten City, a small game made by only a handful of people and which started its life many years ago as a mod for Skyrim. But this game is fantastic in its themes, its setting, and its overall atmosphere, and not because it was made by a bunch of talented and no doubt beautiful fellow Australians such as myself, but once again, if you're after something more narrative based, then this is definitely worth checking out as you explore this city and try to unravel its mysteries, all while you question the morals, principles, and laws of its people and the city, and perhaps how it relates to your own laws and morals in reality as you make your way through the mystery. Being from such a small team doesn't mean this is a simple port of the original mod either, as a ton more work has been put in to expand the dialogue, plus the game may not reach the top AAA games out there when it comes to graphics, but it looks and plays great. One game worth replaying too, just to experience it again, or to make some other choices to see how it impacts the story and city. Don't forget about this game. For number 3, it's Psychonauts 2, and for someone who doesn't really care at all about platformers since the GameCube days, and didn't think all that much of the first Psychonauts, it's almost like the developer of Double Fine knew my thoughts, and then decided to make a game to show me, the dickhead, just how fantastic a sequel could be. Psychonauts 2 gets so many things right, which I didn't think it would, considering its long dev time and the studio becoming part of Microsoft later on. This game has incredible art design and beautiful character models and locations in all their wacky weirdness, and it fits perfectly with the humour, story and character personalities. Even if the platforming sections aren't doing anything too different than what you've been doing over the decades, the whole package just comes together and gives gamers a high quality title that is packed with love and respect for the first game whilst improving it in every area. The story is very good too, and it's much deeper than basically anything else out there in platformers, and it's just so welcome. The look and feel of the game may feel like a classic childish platformer, but Psychonauts 2 is much more. If there were more platformers like this, then I wouldn't need to be punched in the head and forced to play them. Psychonauts 2 is fantastic. For number 2, it's Nobody Saves the World, another type of game, the action, adventure, RPG, isometric games that seem to come out every 4.5 minutes, and that can get a little stale. and you start to get over them, but holy shit, did Nobody Saves the World come out of nowhere for me and proceeded to get under my skin in a good way as I hacked and slashed my way through the enemies and bosses, smashing everything in sight, and I collected items and leveled up. Moving around the beautiful map and going in the dungeons is something we've done before a million times, but with multiple characters to play, it becomes more and more important to switch between them in battle. The further along you get, with each one having different abilities which all work together so damn well and made me happier than a pig in shit. I was having a blast playing this game, loving the combat, its light-hearted but interesting story, quirky characters, and its engaging combat, and a grind which was rewarding and fun. This is a fantastic addition to Xbox Game Pass and a game that deserves praise and to be played by as many people as possible. It's awesome. And coming in at number 1 is Mass Effect Legendary Edition, a game series which would probably still take out the top spot if it was the original ones, complete with the crap frame rate of the first game, empty planets, and the mind of its own Mako from the first game. The Legendary Edition gets rid of all the technical issues and implements some changes to make all 3 games more cohesive in how they play and are presented. The visuals won't blow you away as they're faithful to the original, but everything has been cleaned up, and like I said, it performs fantastic now. Now, anyone that knows me or follows the channel knows how stupidly into Mass Effect that I am. These are some of my fave games of all time, and revisiting the series with this newer edition didn't dampen any of that weird gaming love. The story and characters are still some of the best in all the video games. If you don't feel anything at any point, then I'd argue that you can't feel feelings at all. Mass Effect is a legendary series, and now it has them running and looking like never before on consoles. This is a must play for anyone that loves single player, story driven games, and is a huge addition to Xbox Game Pass. Man, Mass Effect is awesome. So there's my top 10 Xbox Game Pass games to play right now on the service. And even though I left off some and had some parameters as to which ones I could choose, all of these are must plays and deserve to be checked out, and you'll no doubt find some absolute gems here. But which games have you discovered on Game Pass which have surprised you the most? Please let me know down in the comments, give the video a thumbs up, share it and subscribe to the channel, plus stop by the Discord as well. Enjoy gaming and I'll see you on the next video.